What's going on YouTube? Focused Hands here, and today I got some pretty cool stuff. Actually, this one kind of went over several days of work, so you're kind of seeing the aftermath of what I've already done. But I want to say that this episode is quite involved. There's some piston filing, like I talked about in the last episode. There is feeler gauge work to test that filing, which you got to be really careful on. And then we have putting the oil pumps back in, putting the oil pan on, tightening down the pistons, the rod bearings, making sure everything is solid on that front from the manufacturer's specifications. And it's a pretty involved step for anyone, even for engine builders and everything. There you got to follow the torque sequences for this, for definitely your rods and rod bolts, because you don't want your pistons coming out at you or spinning a rod bearing or anything like that. So got to be careful. I know you will, because I feel like people that watch me have, at this point, if you've been watching me this long, you would have some know-how of how things go on the Focus. So, but if not, maybe you don't, and that's okay, because I have other videos that you can watch, which will help you get up to speed. And let's hop to it, shall we? Stay tuned.
Bye.
And this is the secondary part of the piston ring calculation. This is now the filing part, but I want to go over something that I discovered. Here is the old piston ring, or piston. As you can see, I've taken off the top ring and the secondary ring. And what I discovered from the last episode, you remember the calculations, is that, well, I got the top and the secondary ring backwards. So these are the new rings and these are the old rings from the stock piston, the true stock piston. This one was on the top, which feels like this one, except it's a lot smaller. And this ring, which I thought was the top, was on the bottom, or the secondary ring. So I need to reverse all these numbers, which means that both the rings need to be grounded a little bit or filed a little bit to get to their target spot, or their target gap, if you will. So let's reposition here and get into filing. Stay tuned. All right, so with the old piston ring, the top ring, I already, filed it down. Let me see which one it is this one. So I already filed it down and got it to 0.018. So I rounded up from the 0.017 because the millimeters set was 0.445 and the millimeters set on the feeler gauge was 0.017 or 0.432. So I rounded up to the 0.018, which was 0.457, which puts me roughly in the range of where I need to be. So yeah, this is the old ring, and we're going to begin slowly, painstakingly grinding the new ring to get it into that same gap. So what you want to do, and what I've learned from gracious other YouTubers that decided to put this stuff on the channel, let me zoom in a little more, is that what I've learned from other YouTubers that have done this part of the process is that you only want to do one side of the ring. You don't want to grind both. You want to choose one side of the piston ring You want to push that up against the edge. So I'm kind of locking it in on that edge of this, I guess this block holder. And I'm gonna put my finger right here and a finger here to give it some kind of stability. And I'm gonna work backwards, not forwards, but backwards, so that I don't strip away the material that's on that inside of that ring. You want to keep that as stock as possible. So, and you also want to be flat. You want to be flat up against the filer so that you don't file at an angle. That's also very bad. So I'm going to get it up here like I was taught, butt it up against this little brace here and butt it up against the filer, and we're going to begin the file. And every so often, we're going to go and check to see how far or what the gap is. So let's go do that. So we're still not there yet. And I've marked one of the sides. You really probably won't be, there you go. The little purple ring or purple dot. I've marked that side so that I know which side I'm on. Also, on this side, there is a 200. So you can get that on camera. There's an N200, so I know I'm not gonna do that side. I'm gonna stick to this, this left side. So we're gonna butt it up against here again. Get our placement with our fingers. You don't wanna press too hard. And grind away. We'll stop there and we'll go and check it again. So almost, a little bit more grinding and I think I'll be at my target spot. So again, push up so it's touching that edge there, rotate it over. We're gonna put our finger there, finger here. Make sure we're flat. We're gonna go check this, so stay tuned. All right, so we got the top ring now with the gap of 1.8, which is 0.447, 0.457, and that's okay for this one. And I'm gonna go back over and check the mathematics for it, but that seems like that will be fine. Now we got to worry about the secondary ring, and when we last did the calculations for it, it was at 0.017 and we need to be at 0.021. So, and this one's a harder material, so it's going to take longer to grind. So let's first, we got to deburr the edges here. And we're gonna need like a little file to deburr those edges so that everything gets nice, smooth, there's no sharp edges. So let me go do that. Stay tuned. So pretty much you would take a file here and you just at an angle 45, I guess, or 31, 29, 72. Excuse me. No, I'm just kidding. But you just want to go and just kind of file it, just get those burred edges off, and this is already pretty good. So piston top ring is done. Now we're going to start working on the secondary ring, and remember the secondary ring was at 0.0218, and right now it's sitting at 0.017. So let's put it on. And remember, this one's going to take longer because it's a stronger material. So set aside some time. going counterclockwise. All right, so I'm gonna go check it. You know, I'm gonna check it every 5 revolutions just to make sure I creep up on it and not overshoot and essentially ruin the ring. So stay tuned. All right, so that was strangely just right. The first try, which is kind of cool. Didn't have to do too much. So now we're gonna deburr it. Just take off those edges. Come over here. Just right here. Just like that. I'm gonna feel it to make sure there's no edges on it. Anyway, so this is now complete. Top ring, secondary ring. This piston can now go on, and that's great, right? So I'm going to go ahead and work on piston rings 2, 3, and 4 off camera. I don't want to bore you, but that is essentially how you do it. And there are many people on YouTube that are doing this. They're way more professional at it than I am, but I mean, it's not really hard to do. And I wasn't too far off from my calculations to begin with, so I got lucky there. Anyway, let's continue with these off camera, and then we will start the piston installation, or putting the rings on the piston and then installing the pistons. So stay tuned. All right, so finally I finished the grinding for both the top and secondary rings. It took about an hour. It's mind-numbing, to be honest, but you know, if you creep up on it slow, you won't have issues, and you know, you won't have blow by and all the other horrible words that can happen to your engine. Now, since I have all this stuff set right, I can put them on the pistons and do the clocking for where the piston rings need to sit. So let's do that. Stay tuned. All right, so we have C1 out here. Set this right. We also have the piston. Going to back it up a lot more. Okay, so we have the piston. It's already ready to go. I'm gonna take C1 here, and you want to make sure your rings match the cylinder that you put them in. We're going to take our oil ring here. And we need to look at what side goes up. So we need to check the manual for that. Give me 1 second. All right, so it looks like we need to have this butt up. I don't know if you can see that. So I can zoom in a little bit more. This butt needs to be up according to the paperwork here. It needs to be at a point, and this looks like it's at a point. So I'm gonna go with that orientation. All right, set that aside. What we want to do is pretty much start at one end and walk it on. start here. Pretty much just roll it. And roll it on like that. Cool. All right. Then we need to take one of our O-rings, as soon as I can get it out, that is. Take one of our O-rings and you want to go below the spanner, oil spanner. I forget what they call it. What is it actually called? Middle expander. Okay, so you want to stick it this is 2. Boy. Make sure to separate them. All right, so stick it below the spanner and expander. I'm just gonna walk it in. Just like that. Then we're going to take the top one and doing the same method. We're going to go to the top of the expander, get it in on that side, and we're just going to walk it in, or roll it in, as they say. Wrong way. All right, so those are on. Now for the top 2, I have a expander ring thing. Forget what this is called, but it's for expanding the piston rings, the second and top piston ring. So here's our second ring. So the problem with these were on Amazon, they had the little lips right here were too far up. So when you put the ring in, it just slid out. And I just kind of rolled them over a little bit. And now if I put these in here, now I can expand it. So I'm gonna put it on. It needs to be number side up. You see the number right there, barely right there. It needs to be number side up for the second ring. And we're going to find it. Oh, sorry. Same method. Back you up here all the way. We will, numbers up. Numbers should all be facing up according to them. Go to top ring. And we work it into its home. So there you go. Rings are installed. No damage to my pistons. And I'm going to turn these according to the sheet. Let me zoom in so you can see it. So according to the sheet here, the ring gaps where you need to turn them, so we need to find out where center is. The top oil ring needs to be positioned way on this side. So if it's like this, it needs to be over there. It needs to be over here. So I'm just gonna find it and move it to over there. Okay. And the bottom one needs to be on the opposite side. Let's see. Right there should be good. All right. So now, if we're looking at the second ring gap, the second ring gap needs to be right here. So on this side. So we're gonna find the second ring and we're gonna put it right there. And the first ring needs to be near the front. So we'll rotate this one around to right there. All right, so now they're all properly gapped and ready to go in. Stay tuned. Numbers and numbers. We'll set that down in here. Clean this out before I install the bearing. We're going to do this 4 more times. Clean the bearing surface. And this one doesn't have a top or bottom on it, so you can install them either or. So with it up, I'm going to take the bearing, kind of center it, and I'm just going to press it in. And we're kind of high on this end, so we need to position it to where we get it even on both. And that feels about right. A little bit more. All right, that feels good. So now that's taken care of. Obviously, we need to add some assembly lube. Open it first. Just like so. I'm just going to spread it on the surface. All right, so that one's done. Going to set the caps in. Try to get it as center as possible. And you just press it in. Boom, like that, clicked. So we're good there. Take a little bit of assembly lube. In this case, a nice helping. And we will all in. Just like that. All right, so now that that's done, we really can now go over to the engine and install this on cylinder number 1. So let's do it. All right, so we're starting to put the pistons in. Right now I'm taking a dead blow hammer and kind of tapping it. And it's in. I'm gonna rotate the engine here so that I can see the bottom. Rotate the engine. And we're definitely off, so I'm glad I rotated the engine. I gotta get it back. If you can look down in there. See that right there? It's off. So luckily we are here to recenter it. So we're gonna do that. Grab something to help get over there. Might need to remove the oil pump. So now with the oil pump removed, we now have access to piston. So I'm gonna need to get creative here and hammer the bottom while I watch this go up into place. All right. Let's see. Looks like I'm good. Looks like I'm good. Okay, so that was nerve-wracking. We will put the caps on and go from there. Stay tuned. All right, so got the cap. We need to go numbers. Need a flashlight to see it. Well, this side doesn't have numbers, so process of elimination means that this side is the one with the numbers. So let's get those down on there. All good and snug. Looks good. One. There's 2. And for now, I'm just going to get them finger tight or hand tight. And then we'll start working on piston 4. Honestly, that wasn't so bad. Like, it really wasn't bad at all. And I did it alone, so that should say something about, the process and your ability to do it. So let's reset here, get the piston number 4 ready, and drop it in. Stay tuned. All right, so I'm gonna clean out piston number 4. We'll put a little bit of oil in there. A little oil in here just to make the transition easier. It's good for the hands. All right. Just wipe off all that excess oil off my hands. So, how you load the piston ring or the piston into set. First, we need to check our orientation, which we want it with the molder facing the intake side. So what we're going to do is make sure that our piston rings are all set right. Our top one is set right. That looks good. Secondary one looks good. And our oil ones look good. So what you do is change your camera view. When installing them, what you want is to pull it through the bottom, and we got to take off this and install the rings. So how you preload it is you want to take it, send it through the bottom like so, and up through the top, sliding it into place just like that. And then you'll try to position it down in here to where it lines up. You know where my numbers are. So my numbers are on this end. When I rotate it, it'll be on that end. Cool. That's good. So we're going to go down here and check. If you flip it, they'll be on this side of the engine. And we're off over here as well. Need a little help guiding it. Keep it like that, just so I can get it. And it's kind of hard to kind of show you with just the one man, so just bear with me here. Okay, that one's in. So let's get the cap, put the cap on, make sure everything seats right, and find out where my numbers are, just to make sure, and we'll be good to go. Stay tuned. All right, looking in here. Looks like numbers. No numbers. Looks like numbers. Yeah, so that's numbers. So we're gonna take numbers to numbers. Put that down on there. So. And we'll oil the bolts. Oil the bolts this way. Just dip them in there. Spin it. Roll them in. Again, for these, we're gonna go hand tight. Pistons 1 and 4 are in. We need to rotate the engine so that pistons 2 and 3 are at top dead center. So stay tuned. Hands all greasy, I don't want to touch the camera. Well, I decided to show you. I mean, why not, right? It's all for the love of the industry and learning stuff together. And this being my first time, I'm sure someone will get something out of this. There we go. So I'm gonna hold that right there and continue hammering in from the bottom. I'm having to do a whole lot of little hand tricks to move around. All right, make sure I'm not in y'all's view. So I'm bottomed out there. Let's go and grab the cap and put it on. All right, so numbers are on this side. So numbers are on this side. So let's go down like this. Press it on there. Sure, good to go. We're good to go there. All right. Got both of my bolts here with oil drenched on them. We're gonna hand tighten them. Got one more to go. I'm so excited to have these pistons in. I can't wait. Just hope that I have no problems when starting this engine and with many miles to go before anything horrible happens. So let's back up and get ready for number 3. Stay tuned. All right, so look at that, boy. Ooh, it looks good, looking good. All right, so we're gonna go back over here for the last one. Piston number 3. Gotta unhinge it. take you to the whole process on this one, so you can see how I did it, and what to do, and probably even what not to do. Maybe I'm doing something wrong or backwards, and that would be is what it is. If the engine runs and has no issues, I did something right. If the engine fails, well, I can always do another video breaking it down again. These dials are really hard to remove, so I'm going to get the dead blow hammer to help remove this. There we go. So now we'll set the piston down in here. Put on some piston bearings, or rod bearings, excuse me. Put on rod bearings. Clean that up. Take a rod bearing here. I'm gonna wipe this down as well. Then what we're gonna do is try to position this even to begin with and press it into place. Slide it over just a bit. And that's honestly pretty good. Take our assembly lube and we will be done with this part. Lube it real good, especially since the car won't start for a while, so we'll put a good helping on there. So if you've done this right, you shouldn't have any extra parts. They should all be gone, FYI. If you have extra, you didn't put something on, and you need to make sure that you go back and find out which part didn't get put on, because that is a very, very bad day for you. And I almost did it. When I was putting on piston number 4, I forgot to put the rod bearings on, but I remember when I was putting it in the cylinder, I was like, oh wait, I don't have bearings on these. Let me go back, put bearings on. So clips in, slide over just a bit. Feels good. Take the assembly lube. Rub it in, rub it in, rub it in. All right, so that's how you do that. Now I'm gonna take these bolts, see here, I'm gonna take those and stick those in the oil while we're dealing with the piston, getting in the hole. And these will already be soaked by the time we get ready. So let's walk back over. Do exactly what I just said. And come over here to piston number 3. All right. So 1, you want to make sure that your orientation is right. And my rings look good. Okay. You want to start from the bottom, work your way up to the top. Just like so. Pressing those rings just like this, bottom up. Then you want to put it in the right cylinder. Set it down, square everything up, and we'll pop it in place. If it binds on anything, you need to back up because something's wrong. It should go in quite easy. So already tell something's wrong with this one. Need to reseat it again. Let's try this. man, that's this thing is wicked. And you know, 89 millimeter. They really wanted you to know it was 89 millimeters. ARP. Shout out to ARP. Anyway, let's flip this over now. Move our bolt here. See how far we're off. And we're way off. All right. Where is this? Cylinder number 3. You get down in here. Catch it like that. And we're gonna start hammering. Like I'm bottomed out. Gonna go grab the cap. Stay tuned. All right. So checking here. We got numbers, blanks over here, and we got blank and numbers here. So we need to be like this in this orientation. Put that down on there. I need a little help. I want to knock it out. So some isn't seated all the way, so I need to continue. There we go. Had to do a little bit of extra hammering to get it up. Yeah. Won't even go there. And the bolts got oil on them. Get these hand tight. Perfect. All right, so all 4 of the pistons are in, which is great. Which is really, really good. But I really want to let startup do this, but I kind of want to just turn it over to see what's what. And that's just the ring sliding against the wall. Okay, so on the torque sequence here, we're gonna go find the paperwork and we're going to torque all of these down in a how do you say, step down torquing, so that everything's torqued across even and to manufacturer specifications. So let me go find that paperwork and we will be back. All right, so got the paperwork right here, and pretty much it wants us to I worked out the mine is the 1.5 inch 3/8 by 1.5 inch head, and it wants us to torque it to 25 foot-pounds plus 55-degree angle. So I'm going to need to get one of those angle torque wrenches, but I can still torque it down to 25 foot-pounds to begin, which is really nothing, and plus the 55-degree angle once I get that torque wrench. So let's go ahead and do that for the 25, and we will pick up when we can. Let's go. All right, so we're going to torque these down to 25 foot-pounds. I think these might be size 11s. All right, so work it. It's one. Two. Snaps. Right, 3. Up and tight. 4. So let's check them just to make sure we're at the 25. Doesn't hurt to check. Great. 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 All right. Gonna rotate it. Come on, number 2. hold this. See how that's working like that? That's what you want. And you want to get all the way down to 55. 50, 55. And you have to after each one, you have to reset it. So that's the only little annoyance, but you can be sure that you're getting a pretty good torque. So you loosen it up and just twist this top back to reset it in place, back on the 0, and you tighten it down again. Simple as that. All right, so let's do number 3 right here. We'll need a bolt. Let's see, let's put this on. We can even adjust this to give us some wiggle room. The bolt's all the way out there. So we can adjust to give us some wiggle room and tighten it back down. I'm at a really bad angle. Just have to hold this one. Oh my gosh, 55. Oh. And again, you would reset. So I'm gonna go ahead and speed up so you can see all these done. Stay tuned. Another thing I just noticed is that you can just drop this in right here on the girdle and it'll hold it. Jeez, I really didn't think of that before. Let's push it all the way, so like right here on the girdle, and it'll hold it. Hold it in place. All right, let's torque. All right, so like that, I got all of the rod bolts all torqued to spec according to the Molnar sheet. I needed to be at 25 foot-pounds of torque with 55 plus 55 degree angle torque. So with that, I would say that that piece of the work is done. I can now save this for the head bolts. You can find this tool at AutoZone and or pick it up off Amazon. It's easy just to get it from AutoZone. I think it's like $10 for this tool. If you already have a torque wrench, you know, you really don't need to get a digital torque wrench. I know it'll make it easier for you, but I mean, digital torque wrenches are like, you know, $200, $300. When you can definitely do with a torque wrench like I did in this, it's simple stuff. So yeah, worked for me. I'm sure it'll work for you as well. So now what we're going to do, we are free to start installing the oil pump feed tube. So we're going to do that and possibly get the oil pan back on, because we're not free yet to do it. So let's take a quick break here and we'll be back. Stay tuned. All right, with your oil feed tube here, you want to make sure you have this ring here and that it's, you know, relatively clean. If it's not clean, you need to spray it out. Mine feels good, so I'm going to install it. But make sure you have the seal here, otherwise you'll get leaks. So, simple enough. Obviously you don't want it going this way. That's obviously wrong. This is the right way. These are size 10 bolts, so the torquing on them is probably less than 20 foot-pounds. And these aren't even size 10, these are size 8. So I need to go get the half-inch, the 1/4 inch tool out to tighten these up. So for this, I'm going to torque by feel because I don't have a torque wrench that can go this small. And that feels good. Don't need any more torque than that. And now I'm gonna go jump there. I'm gonna go and grab the oil pan. Put the oil pan on. Stay tuned. Let's stick it on. All right, get some bolts in here. I put a bolt. Just to keep it in place. So that I can go and get the tool, because I never seem to have the tool that I need on me. All right, so I'm free to move. So let me go grab that tool and I'll be back. If you've been following the channel for a while, you know that the oil pan bolts, pretty much a lot of the bolts that are on this engine are size 10. All right, so I got all the bolts in here tightened. Looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 bolts. So if you don't have 11 bolts, you got a problem. So we're good here. Now we're going to go find out what torque specs are for these so that everything can be done properly. Let me go pull the Haynes manual. Stay tuned. All right, so here in the manual, we have the torque sequence that it wants us to torque these down to 18 foot-pounds for the oil pan bolts to the pan, the crankshaft pan, or what did it say? To the pan to crankcase bolts are 18 foot-pounds. The front bolts are 89 inch-pounds. So I think the front bolts are going to be those whenever we go to install the crank casing, but that'll be at a later date. So we're going to take this info over and set our torque wrench to 18 foot-pounds, and we'll torque them to specification. I'm going to do this on speed, so stay tuned. Well, all right, YouTube. So, I mean, that's it for this episode. That was a lot of work. It was very nerve-wracking because these are things you definitely don't want to get wrong. Or, you know, like I said in the last video, you know, it could be detrimental to your engine. So you really want to be careful with that. And I felt like I did a good enough job. Obviously, I'm not a professional, but only how you're going to learn this stuff is by doing. And you got to make mistakes. Sometimes they're costly, but I think that the car will start and not blow up. Cross my fingers. But yeah, so that's it. That's where we are so far. I'm waiting on the head studs to come in so I can install the head and get it torqued down, which is going to be a breath of fresh air because I can finally see the engine is finally coming back. So, you know, tune in, stay tuned in, stay with me on this one, and hopefully you know, work up the guile to do this yourself. I mean, it's not hard, honestly. It's just time consuming, and there's a lot of moving parts. You got to think about tools, and if you're going to turbo, shout out to everybody turboing. But you got to think about those things, and time, set aside time. is there anything else that I want to say? Oh, so Happy New Year to everybody out there, and hopefully you were practicing safe social distancing when you were with friends and family. The coronavirus is something else. I'll see you back here very soon when we get the head on. When we get the parts for the head, we will go through that step and probably cams and timing. I think that's what we'll do. We'll do head, cams, and timing. And then we'll break, I guess head, cams, timing, and valve cover. And then we'll break for another session and then get back into putting the rest of the parts of the engine together, which we'll need a little more time for that. So we need to switch over the transmission to get the LSD installed when it arrives, and make sure the transmission has all the bearings, the seals. Well, it has the bearings, but has the seals that it needs because it'll leak. And with that, we are really cooking now. We are really getting close. I'm super excited to definitely get back to timing, because I'm going to give timing another shot. The stage 1 cams are fixed and they're ready to shine. This car is really going to shine, and I'm glad that you all at home are going to take this journey, are going to go on this journey with me. Anyway, Focused Hands out. Peace.